運が悪かったんだよ、お前らは。
Merry Christmas, it's December now, not when I'm recording this. That took a while. Time to get back to the main story. If you don't remember where we left off, first of all, I just uploaded, like, the PS2, the video of playing the PS2 game, which should remind you, but it had a terrible English dub, so it's fine if you don't remember. Kiryu will go ahead and remind us.
俺がまだ東上界の二次団体堂島組にいた頃、俺には家族と言える仲間が3人いた。一人は同じ孤児院で育った親友錦山明、もう一人は孤児だった俺を育ててくれたおやっさん風間慎太郎、そしてもう一人は子供の頃から愛し続けた女由美だった。両親がいなかった俺にとってその3人はこの世で唯一の家族と言える存在だった。だがしまった。東商会の大官房。俺の目の前には屍になった堂島組長の姿があった。原因は堂島組長が由美に手を出したことだった。おい、しっかりしろ。錦、由美を連れて逃げろ。お前は行け。錦、由美を頼む。行け。かけがえのない二人を守るため、俺は覚悟を決めた。
食事始め。
刑期は10年。服役した俺には組織からの破門状と由美が失踪したという知らせが届けられた。親殺しの汚名。組織から見放された俺は自分を見失いそうになった。だがそんな俺を忘れないでいてくれる人間がいた。おやっさん、風間のおやっさんだった。出所した俺は風間のおやっさんに会うため、そして何よりも服役中の10年間に起こったことを確かめるためカムロ町へと戻ってきた。そんな俺を待ち受けていたのは、
直系組長の皆さんがいるこの場で3代目に伺います。東都銀行の貸金庫にあった組の金100億盗まれたってのは本当ですか？
表変したかつての親友と消えた100億を狙う屈強な男たちだった。おやっさん、突如登場界に起こった跡目争い。次第に俺は事件に巻き込まれていく。
The graphics look different in flashbacks. Anyway, back to finally regroup with the tattered remains of Kiryu's shattered fucking life.
久しぶりだな、レイナ。
Kiryu-chan.
Would have been funny if she dropped the the tray.
そうだったの、風間さんが。でも桐生ちゃん突然来るんだもん。驚いちゃった。
悪いことをしたな。
今に始まったことじゃないけどね。
レイナ、おやっさんは俺に言った。ユミを頼むってな。あいつのことを何か知らないか。
Nah, that bitch
あの
did.
時病院から失踪したって聞いてからは何も。でもね、桐生ちゃん、5年前ここに水木って女の人が訪ねてきたの。彼女沢村由美の妹ですって。
By complete
ユミに
coincidence.
妹が。
でも妹がいたことは由美ちゃんも知らなかった
Oh
はずよ。
yeah, because of the whole
由
orphan
美ちゃん
thing.
だけ生まれてすぐ生き別れになったんですって。
Or that.
そうだったのか。
I would have gone with the whole orphan thing.
その水木は。
それが詳しくはわからないの。水木ちゃんちょくちょくここに顔出
Like
して
her
くれたね。
family adopted
そのうち
Mizuki but left Yumi
ユミ
in
ち
the
ゃんがこの
orphanage
店
or
に来て
something. Like you're adopting a
4年
cat.
くらいいたんだけど去年急に自分のお店を持つことになったの。お店の名前はアレス。
場所は。
オープンしたら知らせてくれるってことになってたんだけど、まだ連絡ないのよ。こっちから聞こうにも連絡先変わっちゃってるみたいで。
そうか。
彼女ユミちゃんによく似てた。
It's almost like they
会え
were
ばすぐわかると
sisters.
思う。ここに入れ墨入れてたわ、花模様の。
ユミの妹らしくない。
そうね。
邪魔したな。
またいつでも来てね。私にできることなら何でも協力するから。
Yeah. I totally believe you.
錦山君のこと聞かないんだ。それとももう誰かから。そう。
自分の目で確かめるさ。人が何て言おうがな。
ねえ桐生ちゃん、ミレニアムタワーって知ってる？ 5 年前建てられた。そのタワーの裏に小さなバーがあるの。マスターは飲食店の元締めみたいな人よ。新しい店ができたらマスターに必ず連絡が行くわ。アレスの場所もきっとね。
そのバーの名前は。
バッカス。
Oh, right. I'm used to it being Bantam. Oh yeah, I was just there like 6 hours ago before I did 800 million fucking side quests. Man, I have a lot of healing items. I'm gonna dump some of these. I don't need all these.
ミレニアムタワーの裏のバッカス。そこのマスターならアレスの場所知ってると思うわ。またいつでも来てね。
That's not how you pronounce those letters, by the way, Japan. So this is actually a pretty interesting part of the plot. Because at this point, Kiryu is kind of drifting in the wind. He kind of has no idea what to do at this point. He got go find the 10 billion yen and Yumi from Kazuma, and then he met up with Date, so he's got, like, a mutual... Not necessarily an ally so much as someone who also wants to figure out what the fuck is going on and whose life was also kind of ruined 10 years ago. So they both are pointed in the same direction, at least at this point in terms of the plot. But aside from that, Kiryu is drifting. He has no direction. He has no one guiding him. And that's probably very new for Kiryu. He's probably never really been put out on his own like this before, as far as we know. Because it had been clear and been shown that Kazuma had complete control over Kiryu's life in dictating, like, where he'd end up. Because Kiryu didn't really care about becoming the head of his own family. It was clear that he was just put on that path because it's what Kazuma wanted from him. And then he ended up in jail because of Nishikiyama's actions. There's nothing in Kiryu's life that he's chosen for himself. He's always just been kind of like a simple-minded soldier type who's been doing what other people wanted him to do, or following the fate that had been laid out for him by the actions of other men. Now Kiryu has nothing to go off of. He's kind of directionless. And it's interesting how poorly it goes for him. At least until this point. Yeah, this is the bar that we were just, in terms of the story, we were just drinking here of Date. I don't know why Kiryu didn't mention that. I don't know if Date's still here drinking. Let's peek in and find out while we're getting the info about the bar Ares, which they're pronouncing in the weirdest way possible. And find out. Surely nothing bad will happen.
何があった？
私が来たらみんなもう。
何しにここに？
お母さん探して、私いろんなとこで聞いて。
お前、名前は？とにかくここを出るぞ。
さっきのお店のこと、誰かに教えた方がいいんじゃない？
あれだけのことがあったんだ。とっくに誰かが通報しているだろう。
そっか。
それにしても公衆電話が減ったような気がするな。昔はそこら中にあったはずだが。
だってみんな携帯持ってるじゃない。充電切れちゃった時くらいしか使わないよ。
ああ、そうなのか。
おじさん、ひょっとして携帯持ってないの？
バカ言うな。持ってるに決まっているだろう。
だよね。安心した。
So she bounced back fast from seeing that scene, didn't she? Who fucking does that shit? Who fucking does that?
やめてよ。
何あんた。
俺は今日大変な一日でな。すこぶる機嫌が悪いんだ。運が悪かったんだよ。お前らは。
Just your bad luck to run into me.
運が悪いのはおっさんの方だよ。
So that scene of meeting Haruka in the bar is actually was kind of a controversial scene, believe it or not. if you can believe it, a scene of meeting an 8-year-old girl in a bar filled with dead people was a little bit of a whoa, what the fuck is going on with this game? Believe it or not. It actually was a real problem when they were developing the game in general, because they had to get the game past the censors. And this was during the time of the, what was it called? Hot coffee controversy for Grand Theft Auto. Yes, this was of that era, believe it or not. So when the censors for like the Japanese equivalent of the ESRB got to that scene, they were like, are you fucking kidding me? You're just gonna have this like crazy sensationalist violence bullshit scene of a bunch of dead people in a bar with a little 8-year-old girl holding a gun? Do you realize how much bad press that's gonna get? And I think it's kind of funny that that scene is immediately followed up by you beating up a bunch of fuckers for throwing rocks at a puppy.
母親はどこにいるんだ。探してるんだろ。
わからない。今日ずっと探してたんだけど。
家はお前家がないのか。
孤児院黙って出てきた。
お前孤児院にいたのか。じゃあお前。
お前じゃない。私ははるか。お前じゃない。おじさんは
My name's Haruka, not you.
桐生一馬だ。
ねえ、お願い。この子に何か食べさせてあげて。このままじゃ死んじゃうかも。
かわいそうかもしれないけど、今助けてやってもまたこんな目に遭うかもしれない。仕方ねえことだ。
そんな、でもほっとけないよ。おじさん。
He did ask you your name earlier, you know. You can't be like, my name's not Kid. My name's not you, it's Haruka. Like, he asked you what your name was earlier, you didn't answer him.
何か食べ物。この子死んじゃうよ。
So the scene of meeting Haruka in the bar was like a big sticking point when the game was in development. And Nagoshi had to like personally like make a gesture of like, I'm not just putting this in the game to be sensationalist and like have some kind of like, oh, so mature moment and invite controversy. This is an important scene that like emphasizes the themes of the game and is vital to telling the story that we want to tell with this game. And that like swayed the person they were working with, who was like helping to get the game rated, to work with them to preserve the artistic integrity of the story they were trying to tell, while also keeping the rating down so that they wouldn't get like an AO rating or get like bad controversial coverage for the game. So we gotta buy some dog food. I forget where you can actually buy it. I think it's... No, I think we gotta go to a Popo. Yeah, that's right. I do also think... right after a scene of walking in on Haruka being in a room full of dead people holding a gun, the immediate next thing you do, feed the puppy. Find food for the puppy. little bit of a mood change there. And to be honest, they say like this scene is really important to to communicate the themes of the story. And it is, but it's also never really explained why the fuck that happened. It's like you walk, like they thought like, okay, so meeting Haruka, where the fuck is the dog food sold? Okay, it's really important that that Kiryu meets Haruka at a scene of like horrible violence in order to like emphasize the themes and story and relationship of their characterization and like set the foundation for what their relationship is going to be going forward. They said, okay, so why were there a bunch of dead people in the bar? And they were like, what? They said, why were there a bunch of dead people in the bar? Oh, I don't know. And they just straight up never explain why the fuck there were a bunch of dead people in the bar. Like, who killed them? Why? It literally never comes up again, and it's so funny to me. Because it is important that Haruka first meets Kiryu at a scene of horrible carnage beyond, like, what a child should be exposed to. But, like, why are there a bunch of dead people in the bar? I don't get it! It literally never comes up again! It's treated like it never happened after this point, basically. It's so weird. Feed the puppy.
What? どうしたの？
食べなくなったな。腹が減ってたんじゃないのか。もしかしたら喉も渇いてるのかもな。それで飯が進まないのかもしれない。
So this was added in Kiwami. Originally, you just had to get the dog food, but they added, no, now you gotta go get water, and also a bowl to put the water in. That's why I bought the plate and the water earlier, because I find that really fucking annoying. Luckily, you can save time by getting those items ahead of time, but I just think it's really weird they added 2 extra steps on top of this weird little, like, side scene in the story. I don't know. It seems weird to me.
孤児院にいるって言ってたな。本当に母親はこの町にいるのか。
多分手紙にはそう書いてあったから。でもまだお母さんに一度も会ったことない。
どうするんだこれから。他にこの辺に頼れる人は。
私にはお母さんとユミお姉ちゃんだけだから。
ユミ？
お母さんのお姉ちゃん、いつも手紙持ってきてくれた。
おい、どうした？
There's no one else in the world who could be named Yumi. Get Haruka to safety. Not the time. Well, I found a bar full of dead people and a passed out little girl. Literally. What? The ellipses of exposition. Protective custody, presumably. I don't know why this scene is like treating the idea of a dude carrying a little girl like this as like some weird thing. Wow, that's fucked up though. Like, OMG, is she okay? Like, dude, it's like nighttime in Tokyo. I don't think it would be that weird to see a guy carrying his daughter. Like, so that they can make the last train home or something like that. You fucking asshole. Just chuck a bike at someone. So it's not an accident that Kiryu happens to run into Haruka. After Kazuma was shot and removed from the story. It's not an accident that Kiryu meets Haruka when he's at a point in his life where he's directionless. His father figure is, like, removed from the story, and his brother figure is revealed to be, you know, not the man he once knew. And he's at a point where he's alone, confused, doesn't know the truth, and is out of leads. It is at his lowest, when he is at his lowest point thus far, that he meets Haruka.
レイナ、この子。
伊達さんっていう刑事さんから電話で聞いたわ。熱があるみたいね。奥の部屋に行っててくれる？今薬持ってくるから。
ああ、頼む。
And yes, being in prison for 10 years wasn't his lowest point thus far.
さてと、薬も飲ませたし、あとは寝ていれば大丈夫よ。きっと一時的なショックと疲労が原因ね。
ああ、様子を見よう。
そう、ショックだったろうね。そんな怖い思いして。
ああ、何か。
Yeah, shocked, not horribly traumatized.
おじさん、
あら、
ここは？
私のお店。よろしくね、はるかちゃん。
俺の友達でレーナだ。
レーナだ。
ねえ、あの子犬は？
え？
あの子大丈夫かな？元気になったかな？
ああ、大丈夫だ。
本当に？
それこの子のこと？
よかった。もう会えないかと思った。
ついてきてたのか。
この子も嬉しそう。
はるかさっき弓お姉ちゃんって言ってたな。
うん。
個人に手紙を届けに来てくれたって。
うん、すごく優しいんだよ、弓お姉ちゃん。毎月ひまわりに来てくれて、お母さんからの手紙とかお土産とか。
お前、ひまわりにいたのか。
うん。
そして母親の姉はユミ。
どうかしたの？
Could it all be a coincidence?
名前はなんて言うんだ？
水木。
え？
知ってるの？お母さんのこと。
None of these people have last
ねえ、
names,
お
by
母
the
さん
way.
どこなの？
いや、俺も探してるところだ。ユミのことも。はるか、ユミの居場所は？そうか。
ねえ、おじさん、私も一緒にいい？
さっきのところでお前の母親の店を聞こうとしてたんだ。今は手がかりが何もない。
私知ってるよ。アレスでしょ。
本当に？はるかちゃん。
だから一緒に。私だけじゃどうしてもお母さんに会えないから。ねえ、おじさん、いいでしょ？
他にどうしようもねえな。
So two things so far that have been particularly important for Haruka's character and her relationship to Kiryu was earlier when she was looking at the puppy getting his fucking shit
気をつけ
rocked.
てねキリュウちゃんはるかちゃんも
And she was like, no, stop. But she couldn't do anything. She wanted to save the puppy, but she was powerless because she's an 8-year-old child girl. And it was Kiryu who stepped in on her behalf to save the puppy. And then just now, she was like, I can't find my mom on my own. Because she's been running around fucking Tokyo for God knows how long, all by herself. She apparently figured out to go to Bachu's, which Kiryu, like, needed to talk to, like, 12 different people to figure out. Like, you can presumably assume that Haruka has been running around just as lost and confused about what to do as Kiryu has been. And so, it is only by coming together that they're able to make the progress that they wouldn't have been able to make individually. And symbolically, well, not like symbolically, but like, what's it called?
ユミお姉ちゃんも
Symbiotically,
ちゃったんだろう
they develop this relationship. Where Haruka wants, like, Kiryu isn't someone who, like, is ambitious or has a personal motivation of his own. He just kind of does what people tell him to do. But Haruka does want to impose her will upon the world, which is a weird way to put it.
あなたたちどういうご関係
Like, she wants to help people, she wants to save the puppy. The first thing she thought of when she woke up after passing out was, oh, how's the puppy?
お父さんかなんか
Let's run, Haruka. Kiryu, you
お父さんじゃ
fucking
ないのに
fool.
こんな時間に女の子を追いかけてるの
You fool. No, I'm
ダ
not.
メだよ嘘ついちゃこっちは見てたんだから二人とも悪いけど交番まで来てくれる
Kiryu, you foolish
おじさ
fool.
ん私ひまわりに連れ戻されちゃう
まあその辺も署でゆっくりねほら行くぞ
Shit, run for it, Haruka.
何やってんの今逃げようとしたねなんで逃げようとするんだねあ
I didn't do nothing.
はいそこまで
あ
おまわりさん
なんだい
これ以上お父さんのこといじめないでお父さん見た目の割に気が小さいのだからさっきから動転しちゃってて父に代わってお詫びしますだからもういじめないでください
あーじゃあ本当にお父さんなんだねはいお父さんあんたいい
Yes, he
娘さんだった
does.
ねあんたももうちょっとしっかりしな
Yes,
くち
he
ゃ
does.
もういいですか
So that's also a good scene to show Haruka's character. Whoop. So, what ends up happening is, like, Haruka wants to act, but she can't, because she is a small child girl. So Kiryu becomes her instrument. Kiryu becomes her sword. The person who can do
あそうだ
what Haruka is incapable of
ゆみお姉ち
doing.
ゃん最近シャンプーを変えたかも髪の毛すごくいい匂いがしてた
And Kiryu, who has no direction and has no real whim of his own beyond very simplistic, basic, like, kind of gullible, straightforward,
ここだよおじさん
like, what's it called? the opposite of lateral. You know how there's lateral thinking? Kiryu is the opposite of lateral thinking. Kiryu has, like, straightforward, like, horizontal thinking. I don't know. I don't know what the opposite of lateral thinking is, but Kiryu has the opposite of lateral thinking. Like, he kind of only sees the problem that's right in front of his face, and he has the most kind of blunt, straightforward solution of how to solve it. And Haruka makes it shown with her own actions and her own, like, understanding of people and her street smarts that she's very smart. She has a much better handle on how to manipulate people. When it comes to problems that can be solved using intelligence and lateral thinking, Haruka can take care of herself. It's anything that requires physical strength that Haruka can't do. And thus, Kiryu is there to be given the direction to actually, you know, put what he's good at to use. And up until this point, it had always been Kazuma who gave him that direction. But it was less direction and more Tall person, do this. Like, orchestration, I guess? Like, Kazuma has his plans, and Kiryu was a part of his plans. And he had it laid out what he wanted from Kiryu, and what he would do with his life. But now, Kiryu has met Haruka, and Haruka is a turning point for Kiryu's life and his own development as a person. And really, the relationship between Haruka and Kiryu is the driving factor of the series. And it's why I say, like, Yakuza 0 doesn't quite have the heart and soul of the series, because Haruka's not in it, because it takes place in the 80s, before she was born. The defining, like, image that summed up the game was an image of Kiryu, a hard, suit-wearing Yakuza guy, holding hands and walking down the street with Haruka, who is an innocent, helpless young girl. That dichotomy of youth and innocence and, like, crime was, like, literally what they used to sell the game. I don't got enough money, guys. I don't got enough money. That's funny, you keep the paper plate in your inventory.